Everyone loves Emerald Isle when they're on vacation, but what happens after you live here for a year? I'm Denis.raczkowski. I live oceanfront in Emerald Isle, and I relocated here in October of 2016, and I help people make that same move every day. All my contact information is below, and I respond to every message. In this video, we're looking at what actually changes after your first year living here full time. Because the people who do best are the ones who understand this before they move. Let's dive in. Let's start with the thing that surprises people the most, and it's not what you would expect. In your first month here, you schedule beach time. You make plans around the sunset. You photograph every storm rolling in over the water. You walk down to the shore on a Tuesday morning and stand there thinking, I cannot believe this is actually my life. That feeling is real, but it's also temporary, and that's completely fine. I remember the exact week that happened to me. By the end of year one, the ocean has become background. You stop running out for every sunset. You stop feeling like you're on vacation. The beach becomes part of your routine, the same way a park becomes part of someone's routine in a city neighborhood. If you moved here chasing that novelty feeling, that constant rush of, I can't believe I live here, this shift is going to sting. You'll start wondering if something went wrong. Nothing went wrong, but novelty has a shelf life. If you moved here because you wanted peace, proximity to water, and a life that doesn't feel like it's running you over, year one is when you get to finally exhale. The ocean becoming background isn't a loss. It's what you were actually looking for. Here's the thing about salt air that nobody mentions in the real estate listing. It never stops working. Within your first year, you're going to watch metal corrode faster than you ever thought possible. Exterior paint looks fine in April. Well, it's going to look like it's been through a war by October. Your HVAC is going to work harder than it ever did in a landlocked house. You're going to learn very quickly that a coastal home is not a passive asset. It's an active relationship. Now, the reason I always recommend Emerald Isle over some other more remote barrier islands is support infrastructure. You're not stranded out here. There's a Lowe's and an Ace Hardware within reach. There are local contractors who understand coastal maintenance and aren't trying to take advantage of you because you're new. That network matters. And I'll be straight with you. I don't abandon my clients after the closing. Part of what I do is to be that network. If you need a contractor, a painter, an HVAC tech who actually knows the coastal systems, you call me. That's not a sales line. It's what I do for every client I work with. But the mindset shift is non-negotiable. People who approach coastal home ownership proactively, who stay ahead of the wear, do fine. People who wait until something fails, then scrambles to fix it, end up spending 2 to 3 times as much and losing years off the life of their home. Year one will teach you all of this. The question is whether you learn it before or after a costly mistake. Your first summer here feels busy and alive. The town fills up, the restaurants are humming, the beach is packed, and there's an energy to everything. It feels like a place in motion. Then the off-season comes, and it comes hard. Traffic disappears almost overnight. The wait at your favorite restaurant goes from 45 minutes to 0. Parking is effortless. The town quiets down in a way that feels dramatic the first time you experience it. Some people panic. They start asking themselves if they made a mistake. They're used to ambient sound and energy. And when that goes away, they don't know what to do with the silence. My first off-season, I'll be honest, it caught me off guard too. Others think this is exactly what I wanted. This is the real Emerald Isle. By the end of year one, most people stop measuring their happiness by what's happening seasonally. They stop caring whether it's peak tourist week or a dead February. They found their own rhythm, their morning walks, their regular spots, their pace. And that personal rhythm becomes more real to them than anything the tourist calendar could offer. Every vacation town has two populations, the people who visit and the people who stay. When you first move here, you're somewhere in between. By the end of year one, you're fully in the second group, and that changes how social life works. You're not going to have the same kind of social scene you have in Raleigh or Charlotte, for example, or wherever you came from. The variety simply isn't there. The spontaneity of bumping into dozens of acquaintances isn't there. What you get is depth of familiarity. You know the same barista by name. You recognize the same faces on your morning walk. You build a pickleball crowd or a neighborhood group, and those people become genuinely important to you in a way that city acquaintances often don't. That's how I made friends here. I learned to wave to everybody on my walks, and in many cases, those waves turned into friendships. Some people thrive in this environment. They love the roots of it. Others realize after a year that they've actually need more variety and anonymity than this small coastal town delivers. Neither answer is wrong, but it is important to know which one you are before you move, not after. People always ask me about hurricanes, and yes, you need to have an understanding of hurricane preparedness if you live here full time. I cover that in my book, but hurricanes aren't what exactly shapes daily life in Emerald Isle. It's the wind. 3 consecutive days of sustained wind will change the mood of an entire town. It keeps people inside. It makes the beach feel aggressive instead of inviting. It's not dramatic. There's no storm, no flooding, but it is relentless in a way that gets under your skin if you allow it. Year one teaches you that you're not living by a beach calendar any longer. You're living by an Atlantic calendar. And that's a fundamentally different thing. It took me a full year to stop fighting the Atlantic calendar and start working with it. The people who stay long-term don't fight it. They build their lives around it. They know which weeks to be outside and which weeks to stay in and read a book. They respect the rhythm on the coast instead of expecting it to perform on demand. The people who resent it, who feel cheated every time the wind blows for a week, tend to leave within 2 to 3 years. Not because the place is bad, but because they never stopped expecting it to be something it isn't. This next one is subtle, but it might be the most telling sign of whether someone is going to make it here long term or not. In your first few months, you're going to hear yourself saying things like, "Back in Charlotte we had," or "In Raleigh there always was." That's normal. It takes time to get fully acquainted here. But by the end of year one, something shifts for the people who are fully committed. They stop comparing. They stop looking at Emerald Isle to fill the gaps left by where they used to live. They accept this place on its own terms, and they find those terms to be actually pretty good. The people who don't make that shift, who keep expecting the area to behave like a suburb with better views, end up frustrated in ways that compound over time. Emerald Isle is not trying to be anything other than what it is: a well-maintained coastal town with a real community, real access to the water, and a pace of life that rewards people who actually want that pace. Accept it on its own terms, and Emerald Isle delivers. Fight it, and it will wear you down. After nearly a decade of helping people relocate here, I've noticed a clear pattern in the people who thrive long time versus the ones who quietly disappear after a year or two. The people who stay stop chasing excitement, not because they're becoming bored or giving up on life, but because they figured out that what it is that they actually wanted. And it turns out it was never the excitement at all. What they were really wanting was walkable mornings with no agendas, familiar faces at the coffee shop or my donut shop, quiet evenings close to water, a routine that restores them rather than depleting them. If you're moving here for the Instagram sunsets, for the highlight reel versions of coastal life, year 2 is going to disappoint you severely, because the highlight reel runs out and what's left is Tuesday in January with the wind blowing and nobody on the beach. But if you moved here for daily livability near the Atlantic Ocean, for the actual texture of a life lived close to the water, year 2 confirms everything. You stop second guessing the decision. You stop looking at real estate listings somewhere else. You start making long-term plans because you're not on vacation anymore. And that turns out to be the whole point. And now for my Dennis Fit Test. I specialize in helping people relocate to Emerald Isle, especially when time is limited, vacation days are scarce, and you need clarity before you ever get in the car or board a plane. I know what these questions are like to answer because I answered them myself before I loaded the moving truck. So before I hand you off to the outro, I want to leave you with a few honest questions. Not trick questions, just the ones I wish more people had answered before making the move. Number 1, do you need constant entertainment to feel satisfied? Or are you genuinely content with consistent calm? Because Emerald Isle is going to give you calm in abundance and entertainment on a limited schedule. Number 2, do you thrive on stimulation and variety, or do you run better on stability and familiarity? Because the social scene here is deep but not wide. The same faces, the same spots, the same rhythms over and over. For the right person, that's everything. For the wrong person, it's suffocating. And finally, number 3, do you want a place that performs for you or one that supports you? Because Emerald Isle is not a performer. It's not going to put on a show every morning to justify your decision to move here. What it will do is show up consistently with structure and ocean proximity and community and ask you to meet it halfway. If these answers feel like relief rather than compromise, you'll do very well here. If they feel like settling, that's an important piece of information too, and there's no shame in it. If you found this helpful and you're thinking about buying or living anywhere on the North Carolina coast, I have a free resource for you. Text the word FREE to 919-308-2292, and I'll send you my book, Live Where You Vacation. It walks through the realities of living here so you can make smart decisions before you make your move. When you subscribe to this channel, you're joining a small but growing group of people who value clarity over hype and who help shape what I cover next. Drop your questions in the comments below. I respond to every one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.